Michiao.
Akua.
My mama named me Nayoka, but my day name is Akua.
And our sister named me Stacey Ann, but my day name is Abena. And we have a mic.
We are sisters who grew up in different households, but happen to share careers as healthcare professionals and corporate America veterans. But this is not that.
In this space, we invite you to listen in on our candid conversations.
We are intentional about keeping a chill vibe as we talk about culture, family, and community with a common thread of spirit.
We are Jamaican-born, American-living, Akɔm embracing women, reflecting on our journeys that have brought us to where we are today.
This platform is a safe space for those young ones who are seeking these conversations to help them as they navigate their journey.
So, pick up your feet, grab a snack, something to drink as we talk about
a little bit of this
and a little bit of that.
Now this part is
Nah, not really.
I just made that up. Okay, so your first experience with Kwanzaa and how has it existed in your life?
Well, I am traveling back in time. I am not here in the present with y'all. When I remember a little girl, when I say little girl, I mean like maybe 7, 8, 9. My mom, okay, first of all, my mom was a Rasta.
At heart?
No, when she was younger, before I was born.
Oh, wow.
She was a Rasta. 12 tribe Rasta.
What?
Oh, you didn't know?
I did not know.
So, my mom has always, for us, cultivated our Africanness in a lot of ways. And so, when we migrated to the United States, I think my mom, in New York City, if you wanted African culture or something that looked like African culture, or if you wanted to connect Jamaican culture anywhere in New York City, you can always find it. All right, always. So when she realized that there was a radio station called WLIB, she took us there because they used to have live recordings. Okay, WLIB, they would talk about Black economics. They would talk about African history. They would talk about empowerment. They would talk about everything that had to do with being of African descent and staying connected, which was a beautiful place to be in. And for me as a child, it was a beautiful way of growing up. So we lived in the Bronx, and we would hop on a train, and everywhere that Al Sharpton was marching, and everywhere Gary Bird was live broadcasting.
Wow.
We were there. Yusuf Hawkins demonstrations, we were there. No Justice, No Peace, like my mom, she is a real one. So when it comes to that, that was where Kwanzaa was placed into me. So my mom, she brought out the Kanara, black, red, and green candles. She broke out the corn to symbolize the harvest and the first fruits and all of that. Okay. But my bonus dad, though, wanted the Christmas tree. So we would have arguments in the house about no Christmas this year, only Kwanzaa. And it would go back and forth, until, there just became a space where it settled in. We had both. And then eventually now it's really just the tree in my mom's house. But it just so happens that, like, my mom made us learn the 7 principles. And with Gary Bird and the radio station, they took it from just Kwanzaa to every single day. So there are 7 principles, and each one took a day in Gary Bird's everyday radio program.
Wow.
So for us, it wasn't every day thing.
Right.
I mean, when you looked at Mark 125 and Harlem Week activities, and the Apollo was right there, and I mean, it was the center of all things African studies and all things, I would not say 100% spirituality, but it was all things African dance, like Black Expo and all that. I mean, I fell in love with just being naturally who we are from those times. So for me, Kwanzaa is like, it kind of ushered me into African spirituality in this way. So when I decided to embrace Akɔm, it was like a no-brainer. Like I had the history components already. Like you didn't have to convince me of nothing. I seen it. I was there. I'm good. But it's this other piece. Kwanzaa was created to help people of African descent in the diaspora connect with their Africanness. Being that I had that, embracing Akɔm in its fullness is just the next step. So Kwanzaa was a gateway into what I now know as African spirituality.
That's so interesting hearing your experience, because, all right, we're sisters and we talk about our lives, but there's still so much I think about our childhoods that we to unpack and discuss and talk about, because being in South Florida, everything was, it was like, you know, the regular stuff, go to school, go to church, and then if there was a show or if it was like Jerk Fest, it was very Jamaican and not African, so to speak. Even though, all right, you had the Rasta movement, you had Rasta people talking about Africa and the beauty of it, but it was still Jamaica. So for me, that was kind of, even through high school, when I was coming up in high school, there was a lot of Jamaican Haitian rivalry. So everything was heavily Jamaican. And it wasn't until you moved down and I got exposed to Akɔm through you that I think like that space and openness just naturally happened for me.
Yeah, because Rasta is a gateway to Akɔm.
Jamaica is a gateway to Akɔm.
Jamaica is a gateway to Akɔm.
So it was just like, yeah.
Being born there is just like, boom, Akɔm. But the truth is, not everybody feels the way that we do.
Right.
Because you have Jamaican people who will not cross the threshold over into African spirituality. They will never.
I think that there are conversations, right? So I remember going to this one Kwanzaa event that first year, learning about Kwanzaa, and they poured libation, and I was like, oh, I know that. They did it differently. So the way that I remember you pouring libation, and when I would come to an Akɔm when I was younger, it was very specific in my mind. And when I went to and I saw how they did it at these events, I'm just gonna keep it 100. I was like, that's not how I know it's supposed to be done, because even in that infancy of my understanding of Africanness and African spirituality, I still had this kind of connection to that made religion sit in a box and look a specific way.
And I think that's why Kwanzaa was created. Is because it's not about a religion. It is about culture.
Yeah.
and a cultural perspective, and having it and claiming it as your own. Because if you don't study, then you don't have a cultural connection in these great United States of America.
That's true.
You just don't.
That's true.
You don't have a cultural perspective. You have a American perspective, because it feels like, well, that's where this all started. And that's the biggest cock of shit ever. So, thank you so much for listening.
That's it.
You gonna cut it right there?
But
This
you
is
want to
just
sit
getting
here and
good.
talk all day. People want to do YouTube videos and...
I'm just saying. What I really like.
She come back from a fashe and now she wants to sit and talk all day.
Well, you weren't there, and it was really nice. But okay, I think so. It's the festive time, right? So there's the Christmas spot, there's the Hanukkah spot, there's the Kwanzaa spot, and it just so happens that, you know, for how many years now, every year at the end of the year is this fashe. So when folks
What
are...
spot is that? Because it's not the Kwanzaa spot.
It's not the Kwanzaa spot.
It turns out to be the Kwanzaa spot.
But it's not.
But the Kwanzaa people know it's not the Kwanzaa spot, but they
Right.
come anyway because it is a part of a collective culture.
Right. It's
that
African.
they can recognize as African.
It's
and
African.
that is what Kwanzaa is. So that is why over the years, may his soul rest in peace, we have always, as Wawa Aba family, Nanaya has always had us participate in Kwanzaa events because, and may his soul rest in peace, Eja Kwame Afo, it wasn't just about Kwanzaa time, but he hosted Kwanzaa events and collaborated with so many people across South Florida. We can never forget his name. We can never forget his name because it's like he unified so many communities because he went into every single community and reached out.
Wow.
So when we got together, it was nice. Everyone got together in a respectful space, in just a space of lifting up who we are as Africans, and it was beautiful. And for that, I will always remember him and remember, you know, his mission. And even though he's no longer here with us, I think about him every Kwanzaa time.
Oh, wow. That's the impact.
Every Kwanzaa.
The
every
impact.
Kwanzaa. So my Kwanzaa journeys began in New York City, began with Gary Bird, the WLIB family. They would come. I mean, I listened to Dr. Ben and saw him like lecture.
Oh, you did? I've only seen YouTube videos.
No, Dr. Ivan Van Cerner. I sat down and I listened to his lectures.
Really? YouTube again.
I mean, I saw these people in flesh, and they
That's
touched
dope.
my spirit in such a way that when I got older and sidetracked, the ancestors said, "Oh, we poured all of this into you.
Yo.
You better." They snatched me up. They was not playing.
Man, I could only imagine, because just from YouTube videos and old recordings, you know, learning about things that my mind couldn't even begin to understand about what it meant to be African, and you saw these people in the flesh. That's dope.
Yep.
That's dope. Where was I when the Kwanzaa events were happening?
Well, I was in New York.
No, I mean in
in
Florida.
Florida? You were in the streets.
I
You
was
were
in college.
You were in college, and that's what happened to me. But this is what happened. You go off to college, and you're no longer in this bubble of protection around your parents and what they want you to know. It's like you're naive to the world.
Exactly.
And
what
then
it
you
is.
go out to the world, and you're just like, oh shit.
That's true.
There's like so many different types of people out here, and going to FAU is very diverse. yeah, we had Jamaican parties, but we also had the Dirty South parties. And yeah, South Beach was right there. And Khaled, before he was even big, we was going to...
Oh, Bayside Hut?
No! Bayside Hut. We were going to South Beach. We were going to Rikers Island. Hello. You've never experienced... Yo, we would drive from Boca to go to Rikers Island. College is a beast.
Yeah, that's true.
And it doesn't matter the mere fact that you are away from home. Now I understand why parents will be like, yeah, you can go to college right here, but you can't go to college all the way across the nation, because when things happen to you, we're not going to know. When things happen to you, who are we going to call? And that's a whole nother...
Ain't it?
That's a whole nother podcast. But know that college will strip you... they will strip you from your home. And you'll experience things. And if you're not grounded enough, it will turn your life upside down. And then you have to find your footing all over again. And this is what happens. This is what happened to me, for sure. You have to find your footing all over again. And the ancestors said, hell no, you're not going anywhere. Not with what all we've already exposed you to, ma'am. We're not losing this one.
Shout out to the ancestors. I know I'm seeing in my mind several instances in college where it wouldn't have ended well for me, and the advantage that I had was that I could call you up.
Yeah, the advantage that you had was I already been through that shit, and I could say, okay, come on.
Yeah. That was the advantage. The advantage that I had was when you would invite me to Akɔm, I would come. And when, the old Chami would say, does anybody have any questions? I would come. And then my mind would go like this. And then a couple weeks later, everything would be like...
I mean, Kwanzaa is nice. It's a gateway.
It is. I just want to see more.
Just so much more.
I think your experience in New York is what I would have loved to see more of in South Florida. But maybe it was just the people that I was around, or the events that I went to, where I didn't connect with it in that way. I connect with the spirit of Kwanzaa. I connect with the principles of Kwanzaa. I connect with all of it. But I just think the interaction that I had, it
could seem superficial.
Yeah. And at that time, I was really looking for something that I could hold.
But you had Rasta.
I didn't connect with it like that.
Really?
No, I didn't. It's like when I started really coming to the shrine of my own free will, started coming to Akɔm, it was like, yeah, this feels right. And I mean, in college I did yoga classes, and not just like the going to the class. It was an actual college course where we had to learn about.
That's what Tai Chi. Tai Chi was like that.
Dope. But nothing hit like how Akɔm hit. Nothing hit like how the Bosum hit. That's just...
Nothing hit like the Bosum hit. What? 2022.